welcome back to the Paid Search Podcast. My name is Jason Rothman. As always, I'm joined by the great Chris Schaefer. Chris, it's clearly phase two of the boy band career. You've grown up. You can't wear the jumpsuits anymore, wear the sweatsuits. You've got to look like a mechanic that just happens to grind his hips and sing R&B on the weekends. Tell us what's going on here, Chris. You got a buzzed haircut for the first time ever. You're wearing like a denim button-up shirt. What's going on?
It's the end of the world, and that brings out the core of who you really are. And apparently, my core is a digital cowboy. That's how I'm feeling. I feel, I'm very country, but I work on the computer all day. So that's what I'm going for, is that digital cowboy look.
So you're the kind of guy that paints the mud on his boots.
Exactly. Yeah, like I get a grease pin, but that's not the thing that gets the grease out. It's the thing that actually puts grease on your shirt. So I just put very strategic dots of stains and grease, and to show it's a hard-working shirt. It's that kind of style.
Well, are you pleased with what you've done?
Jason, I wouldn't say that anything in the past 4 weeks has been pleasing at all, except for the time that my wife scored 2 packages of toilet paper. That was about the high point of March, is when she happened to stop by the Dollar General store, and they happened to have extra toilet paper that had not been bought. That's the high point for March. We'll see. So far, nothing in April.
Interesting. Well, you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of 2002 Mr. and Mrs. Smith Fight Club, when Brad Pitt cut that long mane of beautiful blonde hair and went buzz, and he was still incredibly good looking, and you just couldn't turn away because it just brought to the forefront the facial structure and all that kind of stuff. So congratulations to you. You're still a knockout. And we can continue the show here.
Yeah, we're gonna guys, we have a really exciting episode. As you can see, you can see on our podcast, our podcast listeners, as you can see, I'm in a 3-piece suit. We're just joking. I look incredibly nice, and I still have my gorgeous long locks. And I'm here to debate on one side, and Jason's going to join the other side. So stay tuned for that, because I think this is a critically important topic. Getting into a little bit of the business of Google Ads. You guys are going to get a treat about some things that we talk about on the Patreon. Going to pull it out into the open, beyond the paywall, or before the paywall. But before we jump in to a great debate, I've got to tell you guys about how to get more done in Google Ads. And I got to tell you about the complete Google Ads management toolkit. Okay. So you have your routine, you have your patterns, your process that you do things, right? And Jason and I talk about that all the time. The thing is, the more spend, the more clients, the more that you have to do in Google Ads, the more that process will weigh down and slow you down. You'll continue to optimize and find more ideas, more ways, and you won't necessarily get more efficient because you'll learn more about Google Ads. And optio.com/PSP2 is a 2-month free trial to try a tool that's designed to get you to perform these processes, this style of management that has been meticulously detailed by the experts at Optio to help you get it done faster. Okay, so this tool it's a management toolkit for the managers out there that have 1 client, for the managers out there that have 15 clients. If you're in-house, if you are part of an agency, this is designed for teams, it's designed for individuals, it's designed for everybody that has a Google Ads campaign and they want to get things done faster. Who doesn't want to get things done faster? So they're offering a special 2-month free trial that's longer than they've ever done before. Just go to opteo.com/PSP2 to get a 2-month free trial That's doubled the time of everyone else. And you can try the whole thing out for free. You're going to like it. Great tool. We definitely recommend it.
So are you sure you want to do this? Are you ready to do this? That you can turn around right now. No one will judge you.
Oh,
Walk away. Just walk away,
same to
Chris.
you. There's no shame in just bowing to the superior and saying, you know what? You're uncomfortable with it. I understand. I don't, just so you guys know, I intend to go the full 15 rounds or whatever the heck they do at the boxing. However, I'm not going to knock you out straight. I have a process that I'm going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll be entertaining for everyone. I intend to put up a good fight, and nothing personal. I know it could completely destroy your entire business strategy and put you out on the street with what I'm going to lay out. But
I own the street, Chris. You don't have to worry about putting me on the street. I'm past that.
You own the street. That makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. You own the street. Okay. We got drug dealer Jason here. So I
Okay.
I welcome your thoughts. And we will commence with no personal hurt feelings from now forward.
All right, sounds good. Well, my basic gist of my argument, or I guess first we'll tell everyone what we're debating. This is the great debate. I think it might be our third great debate. And as we always say, but maybe we don't mean this time, I'm not sure, but as we always say, we are not picking sides. This is not our personal opinion. This is debate club. This is you are assigned a side to do your best to debate it ethically and vigorously and try to win over your judge. So that's what we're going to do. We are debating today the merits of whether or not you should be a generalist as a Google Ads manager and manage all kinds of businesses, or if you should be a specialist and specialize in an industry and manage a bunch of those clients, or just a handful, whatever, but focusing on one industry. Would you say that's a fair characterization of what we're debating here today, Chris?
Yeah. I think whether you want to specialize or generalize, we could put that label on it. Sure.
Now,
we
do you remember
why
what struck up this great debate? Because I don't. So fill me in on that.
Yeah. So the reason we even talked about this, I think we discussed it on the Patreon, but basically it was somebody who brought up a question on our Facebook group on Patreon. They asked this question, what are the best industries?
Oh, you're right. And they put the poll out there. Yes.
What are the best industries to start marketing to start your pay-per-click business? And I just was blown. I was like, wow, there it is. The dumbest question I've heard ever. I mean, you can't, people say there's no such thing as a dumb question, but that's a dumb question. Why would you specialize in anything? And I'll get on my point about that. How do we want to do a coin flip to see who starts? Or
no, I think honestly, the best way to go about it is, I don't see how anyone could possibly take the other side of this. I think the merits speak for themselves. I think it's so obvious the benefits of specialization. You just look around, that's the world we live in. And I don't really have to come up with any reasons. I have them. But what I want to do, my mind is blown how someone could come up with reasons why you would want to be a specialist in in an industry. So I would like you to start off giving me your points. You can lead this dance. I guess if this was a dance, your arm would be on my lower back and my arm would be on your broad, strong shoulders. And this would be the 7th grade. And I had a good, Chris, on paper, the way I grew up, like it was nice. They had dances for us and it was a good time. But yeah, you'll be my lead dance partner and the audience will be our chaperone.
Well, so how about this? maybe the start of this is the best way to start a PPC campaign is to specialize convince me why I'm wrong, right? So you're the one that's taking a stand.
Yeah, I'm saying you got to specialize. So how could you not be a specialist? Lead off. You're the lead off batter.
Right.
Let's go.
Okay. So here we go. So my pitch is, as you guys would expect, extremely well thought out and organized. So I'm going to propose four separate points, actually. 4 separate points about why it would be a mistake to be very specific in choosing certain industries, whether you're, and just for rule's sake, let's lay this out first. Jason, when you say specialize, you're referring to either 1, 2, 3 total, 3 verticals, 3 industries, right? Not like 15.
Right. I'm saying you don't have to lock it down to just one. You can't really call yourself a specialist if you do 5, probably.
Okay.
But I mean, I think somewhere between 1 and 5, something like that.
Okay.
Am I walking into a trap here? I don't know. That seemed like a very agreeable statement.
Yeah. Just keep nodding your head. Keep saying yes, sir. And this will go just fine. It'll be over real quick. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, and I do mean ladies and gentlemen, I want to propose that when you specialize, you lose on 4 items. You lose on knowledge, you lose on potential, you lose on your process, and you lose on your performance. Those 4 things suffer when you perform a dissection of your skill. Okay, so we'll start at point number 1. The reason you lose on knowledge is because you're getting less experience. Would you say, Jason, that there are times when you and I have talked that I will speak about certain things that might surprise you, and we might, or you also can do the same thing for me. Certain things that surprise me. For example, bidding, right? You've dove into a lot about bidding and quality score because it is incredibly important to you in a super high, intense industry to know about stuff like that, whereas I wouldn't. Okay. So if you specialize in some things, you would lose your capacity to experience and have knowledge about some of those areas that are outside of your purview on these things, right? So suddenly someone who works on, let's say, in a specific industry that display is not going to work very well, they would have no experience, no reason to dive into display at all. Something like that, right? And suddenly you lose your ability to experience and try to improve your knowledge in certain areas simply because your formula, your process does not really allow for that because, let's say, it's medical. You're in the medical industry. You know that medical doesn't work very well.
Right.
Let's your industry's B2B medical, and remarketing doesn't work, period. You just can't do it. And then display doesn't work because it's B2B. So if someone asked you, hey, how does display work? You would literally have nothing more to say than, well, I don't think it really works well. I never do it because it just doesn't work with my specialization.
So Chris, what do I say to that? I would say that if I'm a specialist in the medical industry getting plastic surgeons millions of dollars of business per year, what do I care about a remarketing campaign that I can't run? You know what I'm saying? Like yes, parts. Okay. If you specialize, parts of the platform won't apply to you. But I'm not a specialist in a platform. I'm a specialist in putting money in my bank account. And what do I care if the platform, if there's cool tricks in the platform that are going to change anyway, and who knows? But yeah,
okay.
I'm not trying to be a platform specialist. I'm trying to be a customer acquisition specialist using a certain platform for my clients and making them money.
Okay. So there you go. So you said a specialist on a certain platform. Now this platform, as we know, Google Ads has many layers: video, search, display, shopping. That's 4 mountaintops, but there's many layers inside of that. You can combine those and layer those in a lot of different ways. So if you're an expert on the platform, you couldn't really say you're an expert on the platform because you don't touch video, you don't touch display. You may not touch broad keywords because they don't work. You're in B2B medical.
That's a stretch.
So I don't know. Okay, would you at least agree, Sir
No.
Jason, that no. Would you at least agree that it seems you would at least downplay and have less experience in those arenas simply because you don't dabble in them much?
If there's part of the platforms that don't apply to an industry, one would have less experience in those parts of the platform that don't apply to that industry. Yes.
Okay. All right. I feel that point for round one has gone to Chris, and I'm ready to move
But
forward.
let me ask you, why would that be a problem to the specialist?
Okay. Well, to a specialist, would you not agree if you went and took your car, Jason? I've listened to a lot of crime podcasts, so I'm talking like the lawyers. It makes me feel really smart. And I think
it kind of turns off the jury.
They
They want you to talk to them like a real person, not some hoity-toity law school boy.
Well, I think I sound incredibly smart.
Did he kill her or did he not kill her? Let's go. I want to tell me what, come on. Where's your proof?
All right. So would you agree if you went to a mechanic and he says, look, I only have these 2 wrenches.
Look, I'm not a real mechanic. Someone ordered me for your birthday. My name's Chris Schaefer, and I'm about to unbutton this shirt. Turn up the music.
Look, these are pearl snaps. All I do, one yank, Jason, and the whole thing is off. All right. So just don't even, I will distract you for the whole show. All right. So if he said, listen, I only have these 2 wrenches. I don't really know what I could do if I had all 4 wrenches, but I only bought these. I'm only experienced with these 2 sizes. And the client's like, well, okay, I know my problem is here. I know there's a lot of potential here, but what if you also checked over here? That's my point. You're limiting your potential.
COVID-19 comes into play. Search volume's down. The company still needs to run. They say, hey, we know Display Network doesn't work the best in terms of direct customer acquisition, but we've got to build our brand during this time. Get us a display campaign up and running today. And you're like, oh my gosh, I'm a specialist. I don't know how to do that. Is that your point? Can I make your point for you?
There. Thank you.
Okay.
So here we go. Let's move on. Round 1, ding, ding.
Yeah, right.
The nice lady with the sign go across, get your water squirted. Okay. Here we go. So point number 2, as I follow my process, knowledge and then potential. Okay. Potential is referring to less opportunities. Okay. If there are 1 million small businesses out there that want to be on Google Ads, okay, 1 million's a low number, but I'm a non-specialist. I'm a generalist, right? I'm a generalist. I don't specialize in certain industries. I accept anyone if they want to be on Google Ads because Google Ads is the tool. I have 1 million potential new clients that I could take on. Jason, by being a specialist in 2 industries, maybe 3, that number has gone down from 1 million to 10,000. Okay. I feel that you are highly limiting your potential of traffic, highly limiting your potential of new clients, because you and I both know if we look at the number of people that come to your site versus the number of closings that you have on your website, it might be a 1%, a 0.5%, of all the visits you get versus how many people call and then you close into a client. It's going to be a very small percentage. So wouldn't you rather have 1 million people come through and close 0.5% versus 10,000 people come through and close 0.5%?
Okay. How many hours of the day are there, Chris?
I present to the jury that this is an irrelevant point.
And how many hours of the day do I sleep with other men's women?
What?
We're down to 16 hours. Okay, there's 24 hours a day. I'm gonna sleep 8 hours.
Okay.
We're down to 16. Gotcha. You got 16 working hours. We all know no one works 16 hours in a row. Cut out 3 hours for meals. We're down to 13 hours. 13-hour workday. Okay. Big boss boy. Okay, nice, hardcore. You can fill that up specializing in an industry. So I don't care if there's millions of SMBs, small, medium businesses, whatever you want to call it.
Okay.
But I can only handle so many. So I'm going to handle them in an industry. Then I'm going to go out and do what I do in the nightlife.
Okay. That's a good point. You can only take.
Thank you. That is a strong point. Yeah.
Okay. But let's say
Did they teach you
George-
that in debate club? You just go, but like a little child. But I want my way.
But okay, listen, George, who asked the question on our Facebook group, let's say he really sucks at closings and he is not a superior salesman like you or I, and he talks to a client and he has like a 0.001% closing rate. This guy needs to talk to a lot of people because he doesn't have his pitch down. He doesn't have his product down. He's not good at explaining it. People don't like him. His website sucks. Would you concede that new businesses could certainly be suffering if they lowered their potential? I feel like a yes is coming.
It depends on what industry they want to specialize for. If they want to be bird feed advertiser, bird feed store advertiser specialist guru, they might not be able to fill up that 13 hours of work very quickly because there may not be many of those stores advertising. But if they want to specialize in HVAC or home inspection, I mean, there's plenty property managers. You just do searches out there. There's plastic surgeons. There's plenty of industries where there's plenty of companies all around the world.
Okay, I think we both have good points there. I think that's what you would call a push round, a tie round. I don't know. I'm a big boxing fan, so I try and use boxing terms. Don't they say push round? I think that's what they say. So let's move on to point number 3. I've discussed knowledge and potential, and my next is process. Okay, you're going to suffer in your process, and here's why.
Are you seriously going to argue process to a specialist?
Yes, I am, and here's the reason. When you, and I'm going to be very personal, Jason, when you choose a specific industry, why do you choose that industry? And I'm going to give you your answer. The reason you chose a specific industry is because you have experience with it, and you do what? You apply a standard. You apply a rigid process that you know works because you have experience in it, okay? What do we talk against all the time on this podcast? We talk against formulas, standardization, processes, rigid systems. What do we proudly put our name on? The lazy man build. We are anti-establishment of following scaggers, following a system where this is what you do. ABC, launch your campaign, have 400 ad groups and 600 campaigns, and you have 3 billion keywords, and that's the process. You always follow this process. That's what we don't like because it doesn't allow any fluidity in the system. It follows just a process, and processes can usually end up failing because you're not thinking outside the box. So my idea is, if you are following a certain pattern, because that's what works in this industry, how do you know if you can be successful? How do you know something else doesn't work? And I would say by choosing specific industries, you're being very rigid about what you're doing simply because you're following a process.
All right. What you would call rigid, I would call an ever evolving and ever improving base to start from. So why don't, when a big company needs an employee, why don't they hire 5-year-olds? Because they need people who can show up on time. They need people who can drive themselves to the office. They need people who can read and write and talk and think. So you have to have a base level skill set for whatever kind of employee you want to be. So what I do with industries I specialize in, I take all that experience, all that knowledge, and when I start a new client, I'm not starting some rigid system like a little noob. I'm taking all that ever evolving, ever growing base, the platform that I'm growing from, and I install that on their account and I grow from there.
Okay. I can understand that. But Jason, I'm talking to Michael Jordan here, right? We've established you're the Michael Jordan of PPC. I understand that you may understand these fallacies and difficulties of being too rigid and starting with a base and building from there. Mm-hmm. But the argument is not us. We're at the top of our game. I mean, we're literally looking down at everyone else, right? They're so far. I mean, they're like below the clouds. Can't even see them, Right. Let's talk about the guys below the clouds. Would you say for these poor children below the clouds that they would suffer And they may not realize that a rigid, let's say, oh, look, I just got an HVAC company. I'm going to do these 5 keywords. I'm going to do these, not 5. I'm going to do these 5 campaigns, these 30 ad groups in these 400 keywords, and I'm going to copy paste. I mean, we both worked in agencies before. Jason,
look, I'm so past winning and losing. Like I told you, I own the street. I don't have any. I've won the game, so I'm past winning and losing, and I will concede to you that this is a good point, especially for people up and coming, because I will concede to you that along the way, as I've turned into somewhat of a specialist, but still also kept my fat, greasy fingers in buckets in all industries, the stuff I've learned from seeing tons and tons of different industries, tons of different approaches to Google Ads from clients and stuff like that, I've taken those learning lessons and I've applied them to the specialist stuff I do. And so I can see your point there, that if you're seeing Google Ads from say 40 angles, 40 industries, instead of just a handful, you are going to be able to pick up things and learn things and know about things that you wouldn't see if you just look at your handful of industries. But that stuff you pick up from other industries can apply sometimes to your specialist industries. And sometimes it may not happen that day. Sometimes stuff happens a year and a half later and you're like, oh, wait, I've got a feeling about this. Let me search in my head. Oh, yeah, a year and a half ago, I was on this other industry doing this thing, and I think we can apply that concept here. So that's a good point.
Okay. So to narrow
you can
in here,
you can become great as a specialist, but you can also become an idiot savant, if you will. You can become a very unskilled, dumb advertiser if you are just working in the same industry over and over. There's ways to protect against that, but I like hosting a podcast and having a beautiful 10 out of 10 knockout, never ages, but if he does age, he only gets more handsome. Co-host, inform you about all the new things going on that he sees in a ton of different industries. So that's one way you can protect against it. But yeah, I see your point there. That's a solid point.
Okay. So one thing I think you said there, and this might be the point where we can meet in the middle is,
I just met you in the middle.
Yeah. No. I am not.
You're trying to slaughter me right now?
Yeah. I'm not happy with just a knockout. I lied at the beginning. I don't want a knockout. I literally want to kill you and butcher you in front of everyone. Okay.
Thank you. Good times.
So here's what I would say for the people that would say, I want to be a specialist.
Yeah.
You said something right there. I think is a good compromise. You still work with other industries, which I think completely voids the idea that you're a specialist.
I honestly, I waver on it every day, though. It brings stress. It brings quite existential. I'll never be able to say that word, but I struggle with it every week.
Me neither.
Essentials crises. Yeah. I do, because I'm like, why am I stressing myself out about this little industry? Why am I worried about this? I should just be the uber specialist and just really become a specialist. But then I think about the downsides, which I'm sure you're going to inform us on as we go today. So,
yeah. So last point, ladies and gentlemen, to review knowledge,
wow.
Potential, process, and lastly, performance. I got bad news. Everybody wants to be a good performer. Your performance is going to suffer. So to take all of this and push it into a delicious sandwich, you have less knowledge. You then don't have as much potential because you can't advertise to as many people. Not as many people are going to come to your site and say, "Oh, they're good. They're good at Google Ads." No, they're going to see they're good at Google Ads for dentists. Great. I'm not a dentist. Hit the back button and go to someone else. Okay. So you've lost potential. Now your process is going to suffer because you only know how to sell to dental. You only know how to get people to go to a dentist. You don't know about anything else. And then last, performance is going to suffer because to layer on what we talked about, if you're going to be very rigid, if you're going to be very specialized and have a process about what you do, if you're going to have formulas, if you're going to standardize things, you're going to copy and paste what you did with this other client and run it for this new one, your performance is going to suffer. You're going to get higher CPCs. You're going to get lower conversion rates. You're going in order to force the system. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I hope everyone's shaking and sweating at the end of this and say, I will never say I'm a specialist in industry again, because your process is going to suffer. Your performance is going to suffer, because you know as well as I do, what's the best way to fail in a Google Ads campaign without doing broad keywords? Jason, I'll give you the answer to my own question. The answer is do a bunch of exact match keywords. Throw 500 exact match keywords out there and try and do a precise targeted search campaign.
Right.
And with no variables, your process is super tight, but your performance is going to be trash. It's going to suck because you have no variables. You have no way to test things.
Well, I've talked about the year 2020. I've talked about persuasion and all that. And one of my points that I will get into is that you got to give the market what it wants. The market wants specialists. And you've heard it, Chris. Chris, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to someone else. They actually specialize in my industry, and I'm a little worried that you don't. Well, being able to have okay. We'll play that back and see.
I don't know
where that camera was pointing.
That's my thoughts on people that specialize.
So, I want to have persuasion for any and all situations, really, Chris, like anything that gets thrown at me in business. So, one of the things I'm going to do now, and hey, I love the Paid Search Podcast audience. We can all use this together. Anytime a potential client pulls out the specialist card on me, and this happened to me recently, a bankruptcy lawyer, like, wow, what a complex industry. You got 2 chapters, you got 5 words. It's like, give me a break, seriously. But I'm talking to someone, they actually have a lot of experience with this industry. They've actually specialized in it, and I'm worried that you don't have the concepts, that you won't have the keyword concepts and all that. So now, some good jujitsu on that, Chris, is, well, one of the problems with specialists is they tend to get their blinders on, and they're not seeing Google Ads from 50 different industries, and we find that they have limited, I would use that word, limited performance. Because if then even if the client doesn't choose you, at least you can kind of screw with their brain forever, and they may come back to you, because no matter how strong
plant that
the
seed
performance is, there's always the seed that they're still getting limited performance, and it could be better. So I think I'm going to start using that as a persuasion tactic if someone tries to throw out the specialist line on me, which is just a joke. So Chris, those are, I would say those are your points, and then we'll go through mine.
You have points? I
got points.
At this point, you're just bleeding out on the floor, but okay, go ahead.
Not really. No.
I have one closing argument, Jason, and I'll give you the last 2 minutes.
Yeah, hold on. You like that word limited, Chris?
Yeah, that is.
We find that specialists sometimes get limited performance.
You can hit a point of a plateau. You can plateau on your results, and you never get beyond.
Yes, a plateau. Yes, you plateau, and you're not going anywhere. Ooh,
you're not going anywhere. You want to go to the mountaintops instead of just the.
We find that
plateau?
Specialists start off with a bang, and this is really going to mess with specialists, Chris, because we all know clients seem to think their campaigns were awesome the first month because they finally ran great for the first time, and then they're always trying to remember that first month, and they're like, it used to be better. And you're like, no, it wasn't, but I feel like it was. So here's what you do. We find specialists really do start off with a bang and can get some knockout performance right out of the gate. But then we find that their limited view of the ever-evolving platform often plateaus that performance, usually around the 3 to 6 month mark. Call me.
Panic.
Call me.
Panic.
I'll send a follow-up in 3 months.
Yeah. Just the email subject line is, how's that plateau working out for you? Okay, one last thing. And like I said, I'll give you the last 2 minutes because that's all you need. No,
give everyone your, hold on. No.
That is just, that's awful. That is so rude.
No, you're talking, no, come on, Chris. I'm being a nice guy. I'm agreeing with some of your points.
No, that's not.
No, you're talking about leaving me in a pile of blood. You're talking about giving me 2 minutes. Give me a break here. You want to be that mean? I'll be mean. Don't search it.
Okay.
I have it pulled up, and we'll look after the show. Don't search it. Please, Chris, don't search it.
Can I
Off
can
the
I
top
write
of your
it?
head. No.
Can I write it with my hand?
No. It's a spelling bee.
I can't.
Stand there
I
like a
can't do
good
it.
little boy, and I'm going to say the word, and then you're going to have a certain amount of time, and you're going to spell it. And let me pull it up here, and you walk up to the mic, and I go.
Why am I playing with this? Why am I even participating? This is dumb. This is.
We're about to see dumb. Okay, here we go. All right, here we go. I'm giving you no. Come on, it's a spelling bee. It's fun.
This is not fun.
And you can, Chris. I don't know if they can ask for the definition. I'm not sure, but let's go. Plateau.
I got news for everyone. I'm not a student. I'm old. Hi, I'm a dad. That's what I would say.
All right, spell plateau. Just spell it. How would you spell it? Spell it.
I always write.
No, don't write it.
L. I can write it in the air.
Okay, write it in the air. That's allowed.
Let's start over.
Let's start over.
Okay.
Plateau.
PLATEAU.
You're a liar.
Is that right?
Are you serious? You didn't look it up. You swear you didn't look it up.
No, I didn't look it up. No,
all right,
no, I was
spell
good.
it again. Spell it again. Just make sure it's right. This is the hardest one.
You
no, you got it right.
Twice.
Chris,
Screw you. I'm going on to my next point.
No, Chris, you got it right. Yeah. PLATEAU.
I knew EAU. I just didn't know if there was like hidden vowels at the beginning.
I'm honestly impressed. I would be so lost if someone had put me on the spot. But Chris, good job. Wow.
There it is. That is the death blow. Jason, you might as well just fall out on the floor. It's over. I just won.
Never ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Yeah.
And I did not. I had my suspicions if you could spell plateau, but man, that's good job, Chris.
Now, I usually just ask Siri to tell me, and I'll just look it up. But no, I did not cheat. I did have my finger on Siri, and I was about to ask Siri silently, but.
Ooh, okay, Chris, listen to this. It's a noun, an area of relatively level high ground. So yes, they do improve your performance to a certain point. And then
a certain point,
a state of little or no change following a period of activity or progress.
So there's the
I could absolutely destroy some souls if people's clients talk to me and I pulled out the word plateau. That's a horrible word. That is a horrible word.
So the email subject is just plateau, and
we call it the PPC performance plateau.
Oh man, sounds like a blog post that nobody reads. All right, so last thing, ladies and gentlemen, closing arguments very quick. You want to know the best answer that you can give to someone that, other than Jason's amazing answer, one of the best things that I say that people may not like, but I'll tell you what, it works great. I don't know. It's a great answer. Every situation's unique. There are too many unknowns, and guarantees lead to disappointment. Okay? Specialize in your tools, not your methodologies. Okay? Specialize in Google Ads, not just a specific process, not your methodologies. And one last example to put the icing on the cake. The worst clients I get are niche plus industry. I absolutely hate getting them. I still take them because I'm a hungry little boy and I constantly need more money, right? But I take them. But they're the most difficult to work with because you'll see what I mean when I give you an example. Car repair plus BMW, right? That's industry plus niche. Car repair is the industry, and then niche is BMW. They only do car repair on BMW, right? And then they tell me we want to do, 10-mile radius, right?
Plastic surgeon, but they only do tummy tucks.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's a service. That's not a niche. Here's another example.
Plastic surgeon, but they only do one certain brand of tummy tuck or one certain style.
Yeah. There you go. You go. Yeah. Here's another one. Loans for truckers. We do loans, but it's for specific types of people, right? Good luck doing a campaign for that. They don't just sell, oh, you want a loan? Great. We're a fantastic loan service company.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not a trucker. Oh, we can't help you. Stupid.
Okay.
So that's how I view specialists. You're limiting your world. You're shutting the window on everything except for one little sliver. There you go. I'm done.
All right, Chris. Well, good points. Honestly, I'm impressed.
Yeah, of course you are.
I think the strongest point is that you could potentially miss out on learning experiences, seeing the platform from a lot of different industries. However, I have my own points, and I would like you to rebut these and not just go, "Oh, they're stupid,"
Okay.
and shut down
I'll try.
emotionally like you do when anyone challenges your opinion.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's not true.
All right. How can you shut down emotionally if you're already down?
That's right. I mean, this is 2020. All emotion was gone by the beginning of March.
Good point. Okay, so you can be a jack of all trades, but you can't be a master of one.
It's literally the opposite of that phrase. You took a common phrase and then just screwed it up.
You can be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. And I do think it's the same. I do think it's the same in Google Ads. You can disagree, but you. Here's my point. You can't specialize. All right, let me dumb it down for the common man here. Because clearly I was clear, but I guess it just went over some people's heads. You can't specialize if you don't specialize, is my point. And you can't even begin to understand the psychological, mental, performance, physical, business benefits of specializing and being a true specialist if you don't do it. So it's kind of hard to relate to the common marketer out there. But yeah, if you don't specialize, you just don't understand. So number 2, Chris, are you a pay-per-click marketer? Are you an online marketing guru?
No.
Or are you a Google Ads and Bing specialist, or are you a Google Ads specialist?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
You specialize in one tool.
Right. I specialize in my tool, not my methodologies. There you go.
Okay, I'm just saying. You do know the benefits of specializing in one industry because you do it with one platform.
Not an industry, a tool. Not an industry, a tool.
But you know the benefits of specialization because you do it.
Okay, yes. Absolutely. Okay. But not an industry, a tool.
Okay. Do you not see how those benefits that accrue to you as a specialist in Google Ads, do you not see how those could also transfer over to specializing in one industry on Google Ads?
No, I don't believe it. And I have 4 points I'll go through. So it has to do with knowledge, potential, process. No, I'm not going to go through all that. But no, I don't agree. I feel that resuscitating the patient at this point is pointless. He's gone. He's been gone for hours, and
sure.
Time of death. Time of death has been called.
So number 3, Chris. Sales.
Okay.
Money.
What
are we all doing here? It was called capitalism, where we work and now it's just, we get a check. So yeah. I can't say what are we all doing out here, but what did we do? We did capitalism, Chris. And what's capitalism? It's giving the marketplace what it wants. And talking about that situation earlier with the bankruptcy situation, they were like, you want to understand my industry? And I was like, well, because they were saying, do you have experience? And I told the truth. I was like, I've done a handful. And they were like, well, this other person's telling me they've done a bunch. Guess who they went with, Chris? They went with the other person because I just did not feel like being master persuader there in that moment. Even though I could have said whatever I wanted to say there and spun it a certain way. But you know what? The market, and you have to be real with the people right now, Chris. That's what they value in you. Great debate episodes or not. Please be real. Is there not a selling benefit where people fall in love with pay-per-click advertisers that have quote unquote experience in their industry or specialized in their industry?
Right. Yes. And I feel that you can achieve that same goal and not be labeled a specialist by saying something that's both honest, but also meets the need that the person's looking for. The need the person is looking for is spout some metrics and some things that you learned. If you've done it before, spout some numbers at them, right? That's all they're looking for. Just say, yeah, so I found out that this was really useful. Another thing that I noticed was that, this ad copy headline tend to do really well. We could do that same thing with you. And I noticed that phone calls are really important. So we tracked those. And also landing pages were no good at all. We used his website. Just a very quick 30-second pitch.
It does make you feel good. It made me feel warm and fuzzy. Literally, I forgot what we were talking about, and the way my body felt, it was like you were cradling me. I was like, it's going to be okay. He's in control. He's guiding us.
But
you guys should start wearing like a captain's hat when I when I promote myself, or some like Star Wars gear, like we're going through space together.
The problem with that I have, just to be clear, it's not because people say they've done stuff before and that's why you should hire me. The problem that I have is because people will have their entire website devoted to.
Well, here, that was going to be my next point, is you were assuming you're actually talking to them and on the phone with them. Not all of us can rely on the fact that when people come to our website and they're looking for Google Ads management, they go, oh, that guy's hot, I'm going to call him. We all can't rely on that. So if you can't rely on that, you need to have some way to sell them and convince them to fill out the lead form or call you. And for a lot of people out there, that's showing that you specialize in that industry. And if a lot of people are on the side and go, no, they're a specialist, I'm not going to call them. Well, that is what it is. As long as the ones who are in that industry go, oh, whoa, they specialize, I'm going to call them. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of pick the way you want to do it. But it, like you're saying, there is a ton of different situations, but there is for sure a sales benefit to promoting yourself as a specialist, being a specialist, whatever.
So I guess that's to draw the line and find a point, whatever point I'm not sure what point we disagree at, but
are we crossing the aisle right now to get bipartisanship?
Yeah, I think for clarity purpose, this is what I have to say. I am fine with saying that I've had experience. Yes, I have experience in this industry. I'm comfortable in this industry. But what I have a problem with is if your website says we do this, this, and this, and you don't mention, like, that's all you advertise to. We are a dentist specialist. We are a chiropractor specialist. We are this, that, or that. That's my problem. Like, you're losing potential. But if you tell someone, yeah, I've done 15 chiropractors, great, but don't market just to chiropractors. Don't put we are a Google Ads chiropractor expert. It seems like a waste to me.
So now I would like you to do the inverse here and let's have a little mindset thing of clients look at us and they're trying to decide, should we go with the specialist or whatever, Now I want you to, let's do a little inception and let's look at the clients as not people looking for us, but us looking for them.
Clients, yeah.
Google Ads for startups. So I guess my point is, if you think like a business owner, when they're looking for us, they're looking for certain characteristics. And when we're looking for them, we're also looking for certain characteristics. And startups might not be one we want to work with for various reasons. So I'm just saying there's something to specializing. Like if you specialize, you can
Boy.
you can shed these horrible labels. Like, is it a startup company? Is it, you know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard
Oh
to,
yeah.
it's very hard for me to
Yeah.
verbalize this one, but I can see you're seeing what I'm saying is
I'll
you don't let the mind doesn't run wild with potential negatives because they're already eliminated. So if someone comes to you and says, we want Google ads, you say, you don't know if they're a startup or a long-time advertiser or whatever. And then if they tell you they're not a startup, that at least eliminates it from the start. Inverse the situation. Someone says, hey, I want Google ads for this industry. You promote yourself as that industry and they go, oh, great. That it just eliminates some uncertainty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to put a fine point on it, imagine your pitch was, we are a CBD Google Ads agency. Like, what are you going for there? You know, like what's your,
Right.
what's your pitch? Because it's such a difficult market to try and get into, where it's just bordering, you can't even really advertise. So you're going for someone where you have to constantly like walk the line between policy issues and running, so yeah, I mean, yeah, I mean, I totally understand that. We could probably talk more about that in the Patreon, but before we close.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, you're not. Oh, you're not.
Oh, I've got 3 very brief points, but go ahead.
Okay. Well, Jason has very important brief points. But I have to tell you guys a very important brief point that's more important than that. And it's about optio.com/PSP2. I told you once, I'm telling you twice. Don't make me tell you a third time. Go try it out. It's a 2-month free trial. This is an extension of what they've done before. They emailed us. They said, guys, people are really in trouble. The Rona is hitting everybody hard and people don't know what to do. Money is hard, and we feel for those agencies, those people that need to continue running Google ads, but money might be tight. So they have a 2-month free trial. Guys, that puts you all the way into like summer, at this point. I mean, like that's a long time, 2 months from now. You might even be able to go to a restaurant at that point. So opteo.com/PSP2 for the special trial. Use the chat box at the bottom. Tell them you're a PSP listener. They'll shoot you a special code. I don't know how they do it, and get you a 2-month free trial. Check them out.
Okay, Chris. I'm going to lead with my weakest one and then finish up with a medium strong one and then finish up with my kill shot.
Oh, wow.
Where we're going to see a look of guilt wash across that face. And people are going to know that I won, and you don't even have to admit it.
Perfect. We should do that on the paywall so that people won't see it. What do you think?
No, I want people to see it. And then on Patreon, Patreon, we're going to discuss Patreon. We're going to discuss what we learned and who and kind of if we convince the other person a little bit. But so, Chris.
Okay.
We talked about builds. You talked about being limited by just moving over what you've done for one client for another one and all that kind of stuff. But the inverse of that is not, we don't have to get into it, but it's just crystal clear. Efficiencies, it's true. Running an agency, you can build up efficiencies if you work in the same industry over and over and over. So that's just true. And there's no way to rebut it. And it's a benefit. So well, I gave you some. Yes. I gave you some. When you had a good point, I admitted it, and that's the kind of debate we've had. The spirit of this debate, we both had good points. That's a good point, and you have to admit it. Admit it.
Okay. Yes, I admit it. Although I will say, point number 3.
You're very much a last word guy, aren't you?
Yeah. I mean, you're not going to hit me last. I'm going to hit you last. But process was my point. Go back, rewind to process. That's my thoughts on that. Please continue.
And this one also, if this was a fight, that was like we were even in the cage, we both landed some good shots, but we're still going. This next one's going to be the takedown. And then that third one is going to be when I take your back and sink in the choke, because you're just going to be screwed. So this is the takedown. you can be a specialist and a jack of all trades, but you can never be a jack of all trades and a specialist. If you go about things putting the focus on specializing and making yourself into a specialist for a handful of industries, you can do that, and then you can, on the back burner, work for a ton of different industries and do a good job. You can never prioritize working for a ton of industries and being a generalist, and then all of a sudden turn yourself into a specialist when the right client comes along. You can't.
Don't assume that my silence means I agree with you. I definitely disagree. I just am. I'm watching the time tick by.
No, that's BS. You don't have anything to say to that.
You know that only half the people are listening, right? Because everybody's at home. Like, people aren't. I don't know that people are listening at this point. So I don't know if it's worth even.
Sure. Now, I told you some things in confidence, and we're not going to get into the industry. We're not going to get into what I told you. But it had to do with negative keywords. It had to do with types of searches that were not very obvious to block, but that could make such a nice difference in terms of the type of search user that was finding that business and the type of business they were going to be able to bring to that company. And they were very impressive negative keywords. They were very effective negative keywords. It took 1 minute to put those in the account, but it took years to generate that kind of industry specific knowledge and be able to put yourself in the business owner's shoes and figure out the exact perfect kind of traffic they want, not just the keywords, but the kind of traffic they want. And I don't want you to give away what the industry was. I don't want you to give away what the negative keywords were.
Yeah.
But be honest with the people. I saw that jaw hit the floor. I saw the glaze come over those eyes. And it was that moment where you realized the student had become the master. You looked at me different than you had ever looked at me before. You're always thinking you know more than me. You always think you've experienced things in life before I have, and you know what stage I'm at, all that kind of stuff. And then when I told you about those tips and strategies, you looked at me like, oh, I don't know. I don't know what I'm dealing with anymore. I don't know how good he's gotten, but thank you. And I'm glad what I created is still on my side and hasn't turned on me like a Frankenstein in the lab. So you feared me a little bit at that point. That's what I saw, was fear of what you created. Is that not all true?
Okay. I'm not going to agree to that entire long trail of statements, but I will agree with your point that there is absolutely something that comes with an investment into a certain industry, that you can find something that works really, really well and could be really, really impactful.
Chris, I could do, for certain industries I work for, I could, and I've had little daydreams thinking, should I go into this business? I could do their business better than them. I know their business better than them. I've read the literature. I have experience in the field. I know I'm looking at it as an outsider, but also an insider. I know where they're making mistakes, and you can't, and all that industry specific knowledge, the way it helps Google Ads performance, you can't put it into words, you know?
Yeah. I would agree with your point. Yes. But I would say my only thing is, I feel that something like that requires such a commitment. You know, it's like the guy who worked since he was a fetus to be able to do a one-handed handstand push-up, you know, and it was really impressive. And only a few people in the world are really going to be impressed by it. But was it worth it? Like, the amount of time that he put in and the risk that he put in, all those one-handed push-ups that he tried and kept falling on his neck. Like,
Chris, there's going to be some people that got into this business maybe 31, 32. Their first business ventures failed. They got their industries they were in failed. They wanted to reinvent themselves. They were sick of being at the Thanksgiving table, seeing other people in their family doing better. And they said, you know what? I'm going to start a digital marketing agency myself. and I'm going to be the best. And things are going to go good. They're going to go pretty good. Then they're going to be in their 50s and their bones are going to be cracking, and they're going to look back at the industry they specialized in on Google Ads, and they're going to say, I messed up. I did the wrong industry. That industry was not where the money is. This whole time I messed up, and now I'm old and I didn't make enough money. And I wanted to be a cowboy and not work for the big company and live that laptop lifestyle. But I failed because I specialized in the wrong thing. So that's one of the downsides of specializing, Chris. It's big risks, big rewards. But if you pick the wrong industry, learning to do a handstand since day one, and you don't realize it till it's over, that's a dark place. So we'll talk about I think in Patreon, let's talk about, I have some downsides of specializing. We can each take the inverse maybe and talk about the downsides or what we feel like we're missing out on with the other, instead of going in the other direction. But just to preview it, you specialize in the wrong thing. And you made a great point. Not every industry is worth the dedication and commitment this takes.
Yep.
Thanks for watching, guys. Give us a thumbs up. Please like the video. Please give us a great review. Keep the positivity out there. And everybody can be a winner.
Yay. And that's it.